You ever grow up in a family where you're basically the background character in your own childhood? That was me. If our family was a movie, my brother Ryan was the star-studded main act with explosions, dramatic lighting, and a personal soundtrack. Meanwhile, I was more like the guy holding the boom mic, expected to stay quiet, steady, and never be in the shot. Ryan was the natural. That's what everyone called him. He's just gifted, my mom would say, flipping her hair like she was accepting an Oscar on his behalf. He's got that leader energy. Not like you. Oof. That line hit different when you were 11 and just wanted someone to notice you won third place in the science fair. I was the quiet one. The observer. The fixer of broken remotes, and the uncredited tech support for every family holiday. When the internet went out, it was me, not the natural, crawling behind the router. When Ryan got a C in gym, it was the teacher's fault for not seeing his potential. When I got an A in calculus? Well, maybe try harder next time. And it wasn't like I resented him. Not at first. Ryan was charming, I'll give him that. Tall, broad-shouldered, that effortless smirk that made adults say, "Now there's a future CEO." Meanwhile, I was in the garage soldering old circuit boards for fun. Ryan would walk in, wrinkle his nose like the smell of ambition offended him, and go, "Still playing with junk?" I'd smile. Keep soldering. And store that moment in the back of my mind like a receipt I knew I'd use someday. By the time high school ended, Ryan got a full ride for football, even though he mostly warmed the bench, and I got a partial scholarship to a small tech university 3 states over. Mom cried when he left for college. She barely looked up from her magazine when I packed my car. And college? That's where I found my people. Turns out, being the quiet one meant I was really good at listening, and at solving problems. While Ryan was out, networking, at keg parties, I was working side jobs, tutoring stats, and quietly building something from the ground up. A little startup. At first, it was just a side hustle, helping small businesses streamline their invoicing systems. But word spread. I coded all night, pitched during the day, failed, recoded, and tried again. 5 years in, that little startup had 20 employees, 2 downtown floors, and more clients than we could handle. I made it. Quietly. No parades. No Instagram-worthy "look at me now" moments. Just slow, steady success. And the best part? I didn't need my family to notice. Or so I thought. Until one fine Tuesday morning, I got a text from Mom. "Mom, can we talk? It's about Ryan. He's ready now." I stared at the screen like it had insulted my entire bloodline. Ready for what? A comeback tour? Another family-funded failure to blame on someone else? I didn't respond. So naturally, she called. "Sweetheart." She chirped like we hadn't spoken in 4 months. "Your brother's finally figured out what he wants to do. He wants to work with you." "Excuse me? In your company. He's a natural leader, you know. Always has been. He just needs a little push." "I already have a team, Mom." "Oh, come on. You said it yourself, you're always busy. He could lighten your load." "Sure. Like an anchor lightens a ship." Then came the kicker. The line that dug up every old wound and salt-showered it with flair. "Besides, he's a leader. Not like you." It wasn't even said with malice. Just that classic, condescending motherly smirk, like she was complimenting one child while handing the other a participation ribbon. "Right," I said flatly. "Not like me." She chuckled. "So, should I tell him to come by next week?" I paused. Let her words hang in the air like a mosquito I had every intention of slapping. "Sure," I said slowly. "Tell him to bring a resume." She laughed like I was joking. I wasn't. Because I already knew what I was going to do next. And it wasn't going to be pretty. It was going to be educational. The following Monday, Ryan showed up 20 minutes late. Waltzed into the lobby like he was about to film a commercial for cologne called Entitlement. He wore sunglasses. Inside. My receptionist, Tina, who's worked with me since the little garage days, raised one eyebrow and offered the most forced smile in corporate history. "Can I help you?" she asked, tapping her keyboard. Yeah, he said, taking off the shades like he was unveiling the Mona Lisa. I'm Ryan, the boss's brother. Tina didn't blink. Cool. Did you bring a resume? He laughed. Nah, I figured I'd just talk to him. We're family. I was watching this from the security cam. I could already feel the migraine bubbling like a soda can in a paint mixer. I buzzed her. Send him up. When he entered my office, he did that thing where someone walks around like they own the place, even though they've never seen the place in their life. Wow, he said, scanning the floor-to-ceiling windows and polished desk. Nice digs. You always had a knack for geek stuff. Charming. Take a seat, I said. He dropped into the chair like gravity owed him money. So, I began. Tell me why you're here. He leaned back, hands behind his head. Honestly? I'm kinda done with all the crap jobs. Sales was boring, marketing was fake, and construction. Ugh. Manual labor? Not my vibe. I waited. So, he continued, Mom said you could use a hand. And let's be real, every good company needs someone who can, rally the troops. Vision. Morale. People stuff. You're applying to, what? A leadership role? Exactly. Director, team lead, whatever. I'll let HR figure out the title. Oh ho. You understand we have a chain of command, right? And procedures? Sure, he said with a casual wave. I mean, I'm not gonna do paperwork or anything. Just focus on big picture strategy. That kind of stuff. I've got charisma, man. It's a gift. Charisma. A gift. Right. I handed him a paper. We're hiring for entry-level support. Starts at $19 an hour. He blinked. Wait, what? That's what we have available. I'm your brother. And you said you're ready to work? Everyone starts somewhere, Ryan. His jaw dropped. I'm not answering phones or fixing printers, bro. I've got leadership in my DNA. I stood. Then prove it. Be here tomorrow. 8:30 sharp. Black shirt, no sunglasses, and lose the cologne. This isn't a nightclub. He stormed out muttering something about humiliation, and you're just jealous. Which made me laugh so hard I nearly pulled a muscle. But guess what? He showed up. Tuesday, 8:41 a.m. Black shirt, wrinkled. Late again. Tina handed him a headset like she was passing a trophy of irony. You'll be shadowing Damien. I told him, pointing to our top support guy. Ryan looked at Damien, who had half his build, glasses thick as math textbooks, and an IQ that made Google nervous. I'm shadowing him? Yes. Try to keep up. The first half hour was glorious. Ryan kept interrupting Damien's calls with lines like, you should try a warmer tone. People like it when you say their name. Dude, smile when you talk, customers can hear it. By lunch, Damien had quietly messaged me. Hey boss, your brother's gonna need a crash course in humility. To which I replied, consider this the pilot episode. Ryan bailed halfway through the day. Claimed a migraine. By Thursday, he'd discovered Slack, and used it to create a channel called #RyanVision where he posted things like future project ideas and leadership thoughts. One gem. What if we rebranded and changed the company name to something more aggressive, like Hawkfire? I nearly choked on my coffee. By Friday, he'd hosted his own team huddle. In the break room, with himself, a whiteboard, and a marker he forgot to uncap. No one attended. No one was invited. He made a 5-slide PowerPoint anyway and left it in the printer tray with confidential strategy plan written across the top. Slide 3 said, we need synergy. Also vibes. Oh yeah? Natural leader. By Monday morning, the office coffee machine had a post-it note on it that read, fuel for future executives, hot beverage from #Team Ryan. I stared at it for a full minute, wondering if caffeine could actually erase brain cells through proximity. He'd only been there 5 days. But somehow, in those 5 days, Ryan managed to start a movement no one wanted, form a team no one joined, and launch a brand no one respected. He printed stickers, actual stickers, that said Hawk Fire Rising, and left them on people's desks. HR was furious. Marketing thought it was satire. Tina just tossed hers in the trash and said, "I've seen cults start with less." By lunchtime, he was hosting walk and talk meetings in the hallway. By Wednesday, he had a Google Doc titled Executive Manifesto and had tried to schedule a one-on-one with our CTO. The CTO declined 3 times. But the straw that broke it? He tried to implement casual Fridays. Which would have been fine if it wasn't Wednesday, and if he hadn't announced it by yelling, "Let's loosen up around here, people! We're not robots!" while wearing a Hawaiian shirt, flip-flops, and aviators. Again. Indoors. I called him into my office. "Close the door," I said. He plopped into the chair, legs spread like he was posing for a photo shoot. "What's up, bro? Stop calling me that at work." "Oh, sorry. Boss." "Got it." He gave me finger guns. "So what's the vibe?" "Ryan," I said slowly, "you were hired for support. Entry level. You haven't completed a single task assigned to you. You've launched 2 rogue initiatives, disrupted 3 departments, and created a hashtag. What exactly is your plan here?" He grinned. "I'm shaking things up." That's what a good leader does. Disrupt the norm. I blinked. "You aren't leading anything. That's just because you're intimidated. You've always been the safe one. I'm the visionary. The big picture guy." I paused. Breathed in through my nose. Then came the knock. "Come in," I said. And in walked Mom. In a pantsuit. With printed documents. "Hi, sweetheart," she said to me, but her eyes were laser-focused on Ryan. "I'm just here to make sure my son's being treated fairly." "Which one?" I asked. She waved that off. "Ryan tells me he's being micromanaged." "He's being managed," I corrected. "Because he refuses to follow basic protocol. He's not a protocol kind of person." She smiled. "He's a leader. Some people lead, some people follow." "Right," I said. "And some people answer phones and learn how the company works before declaring themselves visionaries." She scoffed. "Well, I brought a few ideas." She opened a folder, a real printed folder, like we were prepping for a merger meeting on Wall Street. Inside, a flowchart labeled Ryan's Path to Leadership. A printed resume that looked like it had been built in word art. And a list titled Suggested Titles for Ryan, including Strategic Director, Culture Chief, and my personal favorite, Vision Architect. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I've run a company for 6 years," I said calmly. "We have over 50 employees. This isn't a playground, and I'm not here to entertain anyone's delusions." Her smile dropped half an inch. "Why are you so resistant to helping your brother? Afraid he'll outshine you?" I stood up. I gave him a shot. An actual job. A chance to prove himself. And he's spent every minute trying to skip the work and jump to the corner office. Ryan chimed in. "You just don't get my style, bro. I'm not a cubicle guy. And I'm not a charity." Mom stiffened. "You've always been bitter. You didn't even come to his college graduation. Because he faked a consulting startup that turned out to be a pyramid scheme. It had potential." I looked between them. Then I smiled. Slowly. Calmly. "You know what? You're right." I nodded. "He is a natural leader." Ryan perked up. "Knew you'd see it. I'll give him a new title. One he'll remember." Mom beamed. "Oh?" she asked. "What title is that?" I didn't answer. Not yet. Because the next phase? It was going to be legendary. The next morning, I made sure to be at the office early. Unlocked the door myself. Early. I wore my favorite blazer, sharp, navy-fitted. Not because I had a meeting. Just because I knew today was going to be a performance. And if you're gonna deliver a lesson, you might as well look the part. Tina handed me her coffee and grinned. "Ready for today?" "More than ever," I said. At exactly 9:03 a.m., because punctuality is apparently optional when you're visionary, Ryan strutted in. No sunglasses this time. But still somehow radiating the confidence of someone who'd just been named Fortunes. Most likely to misuse the company printer. I greeted him with a warm, unnerving smile. Morning, Ryan. Let's chat in the conference room. He followed me in, grinning ear to ear. So, he said, stretching his arms behind his head like he'd just finished jogging laps around the building. Am I finally getting the real title? Oh yes, I nodded. The team and I talked. We realize your unique talents and leadership vision deserve a role with flexibility, strategic importance, high impact. His chest puffed out like a marshmallow in a microwave. Your official title, I said, sliding a document across the table, is Director of Sanitation Strategy. The smile froze. Of what? Sanitation strategy. We realized we've been neglecting that vertical. And who better than you to elevate it? He blinked. You want me to clean? I leaned back. Not just clean. Lead. Design workflows. Build efficiencies. Audit restroom logistics. Analyze soap-to-sink ratios. Empower the janitorial squad with vision. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. This is a real issue. Think about it. Morale drops when bathrooms are dirty. Efficiency tanks when break rooms are messy. We're putting you in charge of the heartbeat of the building. You're giving me janitor work with a fancy name. I'm giving you a chance to lead from the ground up. You said you were a disruptor. Well, disrupt the cleaning game. He stared at me like I'd suggested he lick the floors. Mom's gonna freak. Probably. I smiled. But she said you're a natural leader. Here's your shot. He didn't storm out. Yet. Instead, he tried to rebrand the whole thing. He made flyers with slogans like, Clean culture equals clean code. Your mess, my mission. And my personal favorite. From toilet to triumph, the Ryan Revolution. I had to mute the breakroom's Slack channel because people were making memes. On day 2, he refused to touch the mop and instead delegated a list of tasks to the actual janitor, Paul, who just laughed and ignored him. On day 3, he held a 7-minute stand-up outside the restrooms with a whiteboard labeled Opportunities in Hygiene. On day 4, he requested a team of interns. And on day 5, he quit. Well, technically, he left a note on a napkin. This company doesn't appreciate vision. I'm meant for greater things. He took the coffee machine sticker with him. Later that day, I got a call from Mom. Why did you humiliate your brother? She demanded. I gave him a real title. With real responsibilities. You set him up to fail. No, Mom. I gave him what he asked for. A position. A leadership role. The same standards everyone here works by. She huffed. You've always been jealous of him. I nearly laughed out loud. Jealous of what? The guy who spent 5 days trying to start a bathroom-themed startup inside someone else's business? Click. She hung up. I exhaled. The office was quiet again. Tina poked her head in and said, That was something. Yeah, I replied. Let's disinfect the whiteboard. She nodded. Already done. Sanitization protocols, perfected. It started with a ping. Then another. Then 13 more. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree fueled by passive aggression. Family group chat. Aunt Carol. Heard Ryan left your company? What happened? Uncle Ted. Was it really necessary to put him on toilet duty? Grandma. He's your brother. Family comes before business. Mom. He tried. You humiliated him. And then. Ryan. I gave that place everything. Some people just can't handle a real leader. I didn't respond. Instead, I screenshotted his napkin resignation and quietly forwarded it to Tina with the subject line, Archival Comedy. See, I wasn't surprised that Mom rallied the troops. What surprised me was how many didn't bite. Cousin Matty, who worked at a law firm, replied, Isn't sanitation management a real job? Didn't he brag about being a ground-up visionary? Uncle Rob, the only one who ever asked how my business was going, chimed in. Leadership means doing the work no one else wants. He lasted 5 days. By the next day, Ryan had removed himself from the chat. Drama score, 1 self-inflicted ego wound. And Mom? She wasn't done. She showed up. In person. At my office. I was mid-meeting when Tina buzzed me. She's here. Suit. Pursed lips. Hurricane energy. I sighed. Give me 5, then send her in. Mom entered like she was auditioning for a legal drama, binder in hand, heels echoing off the tile, and that look that said, "I'm not mad, I'm just catastrophically disappointed." "Don't say anything," she said, sitting down uninvited. "I just want you to understand what you've done." To Ryan? To the family? I stayed silent. Let her continue. "Your brother came to you in good faith. He wanted to reconnect. To be part of your success. He wanted a shortcut." I corrected. "Not a job. He wanted a chance. But instead of supporting him, you gave him a toilet and told him to shine." Wrong. I gave him a responsibility. One he refused to respect. "You knew he'd quit." No. I hoped he'd learn. I hoped, maybe for once, he'd stick something out. She flinched. Just a bit. But enough. "You don't get it," she said quietly. "Ryan has always needed more care. More understanding. More excuses?" She looked up sharply. "I started a business from scratch, Mom. You never once asked how. Or if I needed help. Ryan starts a Slack channel and suddenly he's Steve Jobs? That's not fair." "No," I said, voice steady. "What's not fair is how I built everything from zero while you stood back and waited for Ryan to be handed the final product." Silence. Then she said it, the phrase that had been lingering in her throat for years, just waiting for the right moment to wound me properly. "You were always just safe. Predictable. Ryan had spark." Ah. There it was. The truth. Finally. I stood up. Calm. Focused. "You're right." I nodded. "I am predictable. You know what else is predictable? My payroll. My client retention rate. My revenue projections." I stepped around the desk and opened the door for her. "I've built something stable. Something real. And if that's boring to you, I'm okay with that." She didn't move right away. But eventually she gathered her binder and stood. At the threshold she turned. "You'll regret this one day." "No," I said softly. "I'll remember it." She left. That night, I ordered Thai takeout, sat on the balcony of my apartment, and watched the city lights flicker like applause. For the first time in years I felt weightless. Not victorious. Not smug. Just finally, undeniably at peace. About 3 weeks after the office saga, I got a text from Ryan. No greeting. Just a link. YouTube.com/Ryan Leeds. I clicked it. Out of morbid curiosity. The video opened with stock music, a drone shot of a random parking lot, and then Ryan walking toward the camera in slow motion, wearing a suit, sunglasses, and holding a whiteboard. The title? "Why Your Boss Fears You, Unleashing the Alpha Within." I nearly choked on my coffee. For the next 7 minutes, Ryan monologued in front of empty conference rooms, coffee shops, and, I'm not kidding, the bathroom mirror at what was clearly our old office building. He even had segments. "Think like a lion. Destroy beta energy. How I built, then walked away from, corporate culture." Built? Walked away from? I didn't know whether to laugh or call OSHA. The comments were pure chaos. Half bots, half confused ex-classmates. Tina messaged me. "Your brother's video has 92 views. I think 87 of them are from our break room." For the next few weeks, Ryan went full influencer mode. He created an Instagram account where he posted CEO mindset quotes over pictures of raw steak. He started in executive coaching business, with no clients, just a calendar full of tentative bookings. And then, the cherry on top. He sent a mass email to my entire company. CC'd. Not BCC'd. Subject line. "Open collaboration opportunity, former strategic director here." It opened with, "To all my former colleagues, I'm offering limited 1:1 mentorship on leadership, branding, and personal excellence. Book a 15-minute clarity call today. I was this close to blocking his entire IP range. But then Paul, yes, the janitor, replied all with, I'm offering a mop and some reality. Book a call with gravity. The office erupted. By month's end, Ryan's coaching gig had flopped. His site went offline. His socials got quiet. And one morning I got a call. From Mom. Sweetheart, she said, trying that guilt-laced softness again. Ryan's just going through a rough patch. I'm not surprised. He's trying to grow. But he needs help. Doesn't he teach that in his videos? Silence. Then, he applied for a bank loan. Got denied. Now his rent's late. I told him you might have something for him. I leaned back in my chair. You're asking me to give him another job? No, she said quickly. Nothing like last time. Just something to hold him over. Maybe consulting. Something respectable. I tilted my head. Does he know you're calling? No. Of course not. I told her I'd think about it. I didn't. Instead, I waited. Sure enough, Ryan called 4 days later. Hey, bro, he said, voice awkward. Long time, huh? Very long. So I've been reflecting. A lot. About leadership. Humility. Synergy. I let him ramble for a full minute before finally cutting in. What do you want, Ryan? He exhaled. A second chance. Not with sanitation. With something that fits me better. And what would that be? I was thinking, something flexible. Maybe public-facing. Where can I use my charisma? I smiled. Slowly. You still think this is about charisma? Well, I mean, yeah. I'm good with people. No, I said calmly. You're good with attention. But leadership? That's earned. Not handed out like stickers. He was quiet. Then, so is that a no? I paused. Let it marinate. Then said, not a no. But it'll be under my terms. And this time? You're gonna learn the hard way. He didn't know what that meant yet. But he would. Soon. When Ryan showed up for his second chance, it was raining. Fitting. He stepped into the lobby damp, underdressed, and somehow still radiating misplaced confidence. He shook his wet hair like a golden retriever and said, Round 2, huh? Like we were filming a sequel to a movie no one asked for. Tina didn't even look up from her keyboard. You'll need to sign the probationary employment contract. And your badge is with security. He blinked. Probationary? She slid the packet across the counter. Title, Junior Admin Assistant, Temporary. Duration, 30 days evaluation. Responsibilities, errands, documentation, equipment returns, QA log management, task reporting. Note, position subject to weekly review. Supervisor, me. He flipped through the pages like they might suddenly transform into a modeling contract. Wait, this is like office grunt stuff. Correct, Tina said cheerfully. All employees start somewhere. He looked past her, locking eyes with me as I walked through the open floor with a fresh coffee. You said you'd give me a second chance. I am, I said calmly. But this time, you'll earn what comes next. He hesitated. Glanced around like someone might intervene. No one did. So he signed. Reluctantly. That first week was delicious. Quietly, professionally, karmically delicious. He learned fast that the words errand and admin weren't just filler. They were real. Very real. He ran 3 separate trips across town to pick up tech returns and still managed to forget the labels each time. He spent one full afternoon trying to reassemble an office chair, only to realize he'd attached the seat backwards. He delivered the CEO's lunch to the wrong floor, then tried to pretend the receptionist had eaten it. The CEO was vegan. The lunch was a pulled pork sandwich. Every Friday, we had our review. He'd sit across from me, clearly rehearsing words like initiative and learning curve, while trying to spin disasters into teachable moments. By week 2, he was less glossy. The suits turned into button-downs. The sunglasses disappeared. So did the finger guns. He stopped calling me bro. By week 3, he started asking questions. Real ones. Not about optics or branding, but about why our systems work the way they did. He showed up early one morning and helped Tina untangle a printer jam. Without being asked. I heard her say quietly, "Not bad." And Ryan looked like he just won a Nobel Prize. Still, he messed up. That week, he spilled coffee on a signed invoice and tried to dry it with a hand dryer in the bathroom. It curled into a coffee-stained origami tragedy. He misfiled shipping reports, confused a quarterly meeting invite for a client call, and once asked if back-end was a body part. But something shifted. By week 4, he wasn't just showing up. He was trying. He stayed late to fix a spreadsheet error he caused. He apologized to the tech support team after dropping the ball on a password reset. And when Tina was swamped, he offered to help alphabetize vendor files. No cameras. No hashtags. Just work. On his final review day, he knocked gently and walked into my office with no flair, no pitch, and definitely no folder full of branding ideas. "I get it now," he said quietly. I looked up. "Get what?" "Why people follow you. Why this place works. It's not because you bark orders or post buzzwords. It's because you built something that runs without noise." I didn't reply. I just let him talk. He sat down. "I thought leadership was about visibility. Being the face. But it's really doing the boring stuff that keeps everyone afloat." I raised an eyebrow. "Not as sexy as you imagined, huh?" He cracked a weak smile. "Not remotely. But a lot more real." Silence stretched. It wasn't awkward. Just quiet. Earned. "I still want to lead someday," he added. "But now I know why I haven't earned it." I nodded. "You've made progress. I'll give you that." He stood to leave, then paused at the door. "One more thing," he said. "That whole director of sanitation strategy thing, that was a joke, right?" I smirked. "Part joke. Part test. Part long overdue lesson." He nodded. "There." He walked out. And for the first time, I didn't see a walking LinkedIn cliché. I saw a guy who'd finally, tasted humility. Every year, we host a midsummer staff appreciation party. No corporate speeches. No forced karaoke. Just food, drinks, and a rooftop with string lights that make everything feel like the final scene of a good movie. This year, it meant more. Because this year, Ryan would be there. Not as a guest of honor. Not as a joke. Just as one of us. The week before the event, he came to me with an idea. "Could I say something?" he asked. "Like a speech?" "Not a speech. Just a thank you. And maybe a bit of an apology." I studied him. He didn't look rehearsed. Didn't even fidget. "You've got 3 minutes," I said. So, the night arrived. Tina handled the catering. Paul made a toast that was half jokes, half union propaganda. Everyone laughed. The sunset hit the skyline just right. And then Ryan stepped forward. He tapped his glass gently and cleared his throat. "I used to think being a leader meant people had to see you, hear you, follow your every word. I thought confidence was enough." Some people shifted awkwardly, remembering his bathroom posters and hashtag flyers. "But this place," he continued, "taught me that real leadership isn't loud. It's responsible. Quiet. Consistent. It's owning your mistakes, even if you spill coffee on a signed invoice and try to fix it with a hand dryer." Laughter. Real this time. I came in expecting shortcuts. But I left with something better, perspective. "So thank you for letting me fail, and for not kicking me out when I did." He raised his glass. "To good systems, better coworkers, and the quiet bosses who still remember where the broom closet is." Everyone clinked glasses. And for the first time, I didn't have to correct or clean up anything he said. Later that night, I stood near the edge of the rooftop, sipping ginger beer, watching the city lights. Mom called. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hi, sweetheart," she said. Tina posted photos. Looked like a beautiful night. It was. I heard Ryan spoke? He did. And was he okay? He was better than okay. Silence on the line. I didn't know he had it in him, she said finally. I didn't respond. Just let her sit with that. After a while, she asked, Are you proud of him? I paused. Then said, I'm proud for him. She didn't reply. Just whispered, Thank you, and hung up. I slipped my phone into my pocket and turned around to head inside. But there, by the snack table, was Ryan, showing Paul how to use the label printer properly. No cameras. No speeches. Just doing the work.